I'm only speaking to benevolent beings. So the intent of this recording is hopefully sheds light on some things that some might be experiencing. As I'm only speaking to benevolent beings, if there are those of you out there who are experiencing things like very loud tinnitus, very loud tones in the ears, so loud that you might have heard of the term broadcasting. So if you have tinnitus that's that loud and it almost feels like there's an entity standing next to you or very close to you, or you might have that feeling like your thoughts are being broadcast. What that is, and make sure at this point you might want to turn this off, because if you're not aware of these things, they're very disturbing. This is not a warm and fuzzy recording, pretty much like any of mine are. And this is more informational, meaning these are things that you should probably be aware of so you can better protect yourself. So if you're experiencing what I described, what that is, and I am saying this because I know this, because these are things that are being forced on me. And over time, I've figured these things out by deduction, by triangulation, logic, reason, things like that. So what that is that's a clone. It means you have a clone attached to you. The only way these malevolent whores can connect to you, the only way they can connect to a benevolent being that's like not doing, they can easily connect to beings who are like doing drugs or are alcoholics or have very like a certain kind of lifestyle in where they are commingling and mixing with other people who have entity attachments, who also do drugs. Those are the ones that can be easily connected to by entities directly. If you are a benevolent being and you don't have that kind of lifestyle, you don't do drugs, you don't drink, you don't do any of that, you most likely have habits of meditation, trying to raise your frequency and vibration, working on yourself, working on, healing any kind of traumas and baggage, things like that. The only way malevolence can connect to you is by force, and it's via technology and via clone. So in order to try and connect to you, they have to use a clone. Because the entities that are trying to connect with you are so malevolent that it's in the organic world, number one, that's not allowed. And number two, they wouldn't be able to remain connected to you because of your frequency and vibration. So what they do is they use a clone. And they rape things from the benevolent being, to then attach to the clone. So what they're doing is they're making a surrogate. So they attach the clone to the being using their own stuff that they've raped, that the malevolent entities have raped from the being. And then what happens is that entity then tries to possess and or operate the clone. And then what happens is that's at that point, what they're doing is they're siphoning. They're doing more raping. At that point, they are trying to control. They are trying to, like, I don't want to outright say it, but they're doing things that being, the benevolent being, would definitely not agree to, would not give consent for. So what they have been doing in these civilizations is using the clones for many different things, but they also try to possess beings that way. They try to do a lot of raping and siphoning. If it sounds like you have like very loud tinnitus, it's usually in the left ear, at least for females. And at that point, they're forcibly trying to connect to all the chakras, but mainly the lower chakras for life force energy, because they're trying to rape life force energy to, in other words, power the clone, and try to get it to where the clone is so closely connected to you that what they're doing is they're trying to do, they're also trying to transfer. So they're trying to do a lot of raping of life force energy, characteristics, mannerisms, personalities, because they're also using that clone for other things. One of them is to trick and evade universal laws. Let's say a being has an epiphany, or they have a spurt of spiritual growth. What they'll do is they'll rape the high frequencies and vibrations and try and transfer them to the clone, and then use that clone, use the stuff. Can you see what they're doing? They're trying to rape the benevolent stuff, transfer it to a clone, and then use the clone for stuff. They're trying to like do things like manifest. They're trying to affect universal laws. They're trying to trick and evade universal laws by sending out certain frequencies that they've raped from benevolent beings out through the frequency fence, so that universal laws thinks everything is fucking hunky-dory down here, when what they're doing is they're raping the being, transferring it to the clone, then sending it out via the clone and the artificial frequency fence. While once that being has had the epiphany, that saying, if you've listened to any of my other recordings, I call it being put back in the shitter. So once you've had an epiphany, and then, like, let's say the following week, you feel like you did before you had the spiritual growth, what they're doing is they're putting you back in the shitter. So they're raping your frequencies and vibrations and the happy, high vibrational emotions that came with the spiritual growth. They're raping those, and then that being usually feels, number one, it's a result or a reaction to being raped. That depressive feeling, that let down feeling, that feeling of, one step forward, 5 steps back, that kind of thing. That depressed feeling, like that feeling of Jesus, I just experienced these awesome, amazing emotions. Why is it this week I feel like I did before I had the spiritual growth? Right? That's what's happening. And that's how these bitches have been like tricking and evading universal laws. They're also using regression technologies. I have a feeling that they're also using some kind of time travel technologies. But they definitely have some form of regression technologies that they use. Now, here's the other thing. While if you find that you are experiencing hot or cold spots in your chakra system, especially not even directly in the chakra system, but it could be like your organs. They like to rape from things like the liver, the kidneys, the spine, and of course they like to try and rape from the back of the chakras. They don't always go through the front door. Especially in your first and second chakra, if you're feeling like, usually cold spots are the entities forcing fear or trying to force fear into those chakras. If you're feeling warm spots or warmth, it's them trying to rape life force energy. Now, sometimes the cold spots also, from what I've experienced, that's also a reaction from them raping life force as well. So I don't know the exact distinction, like the subtleties or the intricacies of the hot and the cold. I just know basics. But in order to, like, to call it, for lack of a better term, to power the clone, they'll rape from your first and second chakras, mainly your first. Now, also what I've experienced are implants. And if you look up the meridians for the human body, the spleen meridian, especially if you find that you have a clone attached to you, the spleen meridian in your body or in that being's body, like if you feel tightness or like tightness in your nerve that runs down through your left leg and back through the buttocks. I don't know if it's connected to the sciatica or not, but it's usually through the back of the leg, the side of the hip, and sometimes down through the calf. And then the meridian that runs just along your, it would be to the left of like your six pack muscles, continuing down towards the nether regions, which connects to the first chakra and the second chakra. And that also, the spleen meridian, one of its main functions is the integrity of your energetic field, the health of your energetic body or bodies. And personally, what they've done is they've forcibly attached a clone, and they can, the more life force that they try to pull from me, the louder the tinnitus gets in my left ear, the louder it's an artificial entity. So the louder that entity gets, and the closer that it gets, it's almost like they're trying to do a transfer. So what I have found myself doing is pulling up my root chakra, like almost like you're trying to hold it in, like you have to pee, but you're trying to hold it in. And as you're pulling up your pelvic muscles, it's kind of what I'm doing is I'm trying to pull up my first chakra and close it, is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep it closed to keep them from raping. And I have found doing that, the clone is not as close or not as strong. And there are also other things that what they have been trying to do become less effective. I also do other things energetically, trying to work with my astral body, vibrate them off, shake them off, get rid of their cords, connections, and attachments. It's almost automatic now, where I find myself trying to close my chakras if I feel them forcibly trying to hook in or attach, and manipulating my energy to try and get them off. Unfortunately, the clone that they have forcibly, I don't even like to talk about it. I'll just say that they have been forcibly doing this for a very long time. Years. So I do know certain things about what the fuck they're doing. These things are horrific, and they're disturbing, and they're traumatic. And I have to say, in coming to terms with the reality of this place and learning I'll just say learning how this place works. And works is in quotes, because it's not supposed to be that way at all. And realizing the malevolent entities here and what it is that they have been forcibly doing and forcing on humanity over many civilizations. And those are things that I've had to come to terms with to some degree. Existence, knowing these things is very different than, I would say, other people walking around that are ignorant or not knowing of what this place is and how it's run and the entities that run it. And over all these years, knowing these things, I have to say that if I know these things, it would be impossible for the universe itself to not know these things. Like, can you see where that's at? If I know, and there are most likely others that know as well, if we know that there are malevolent entities here and how this planet is run and what the fuck they're doing, what the fuck they're forcing, then there's no way the universe itself doesn't fucking know. Right? So again, a question I've asked before, is this the measure of a universe? Is it? Obviously, I have very severe questions about the universe itself's intent, the universe itself's benevolence and or malevolence status. How many beings on this planet are fucking screaming? Including all of the beings that have been forcibly stolen and taken below ground. And I can't even, there's not a word in language that could describe the absolute horrificness being forced on beings below ground. I have seen some things astrally. People who have not experienced any of these things, if they were to see or experience those things, they would vomit and have diarrhea and pass out all at the same fucking time. So I find it really challenging to think that the universe itself doesn't know that this is a parasitic farm. Especially as this species has been here for a very long time, and they've done this over many civilizations. And the amount of beings screaming here, I would think at this point would be reaching universal laws. The universe itself. And what benevolent being is going to sit around and watch animated dead entities using technology to destroy the balance in a universe and forcibly obstruct and regress universal law correction? The answer is none. No benevolent being is going to sit around, larger force I'm talking about. No larger benevolent force is going to sit around and watch animated dead entities that shouldn't even be here, that shouldn't be in manifested creation because they're parasites, run amok with frequency fucking weaponry in a universe based in frequency, vibration, light, sound, energy, and resonance. In addition to that, hacking into benevolent beings in order to try and rape from them. So I would say if you're not screaming yet and demanding to get the fuck out of here, maybe there's some things you need to contemplate and think about. maybe you need to start asking your own questions. And asking really hard, logical, critical questions, to the beings that you think are assisting you, God, the creator, source, this planet, the universe itself, as well as universal laws. Or what, if you're a flat earther, whatever this place is. Whether, personally, I do, I do think we are in a universe. I do. Now, whether this place has a globe around it or a dome around it or what the fuck ever, personally, at this point, it doesn't matter any fucks to me. Take a look around. We've got some other things to worry about. Right? There's some other things to be focused on, rather than if there's a fucking dome around it or not. Right? So, the point is this horrific fucking nightmare of a shit show, where there's a parasitic dead entity species raping the majority of the human race and obstructing universal law correction. That's concerning. That's extremely disturbing and concerning and horrific. It needs to be fucking addressed by humanity at this point, by the entire race. And from where I'm standing, beings really need to be screaming at the top of their lungs to get the fuck out of here. Because this shit is not fucking right. It's rigged. Okay? It's rigged. It's been rigged. And they're obstructing universal law correction. So what does that mean on a bigger fucking scale? What's the intent of the universe? Is the universe just parasitic and just forgot to send out that memo? And keeps planets encased in artificial frequency fences and has got some parasitic dead animated species as wardens? Right? What the fuck is going on there? The lack of benevolent intervention. You've got supposed benevolent, in quotes, benevolent groups assisting humanity. Take a look around. Does it look like they're fucking assisting anything? Does it? It looks like they're feeding, to me, and giving a whole bunch of lip service vomit and smack to try and deceive benevolent beings. And every time I learn things, and when I say learn, like that's not, those are, who wants to learn those things, right? When things are figured out about that species and about what the fuck they're doing, when they're doing specific things, when they're forcing specific things, like each time, I would say the level of astounded just keeps going up at how horrific this fucking place is. and how this has not been fucking corrected, fixed, dealt with, addressed, fucking ended. Coming to the actual, realizing the actual truth of things on this planet, and from where I stand in the universe, I am, at this point, I am so fucking disgusted with this universe and with this planet. And I'm not talking about, obviously, I'm not talking about the benevolent beings here, the animals, the plants, the water. What I'm talking about is this inverted time loop matrix that should not be in existence. Again, the level of wrong there cannot be articulated. So if, you know, as some of us know what the fuck is going on here, I find it a challenge to think that the universe itself doesn't, as I said earlier. Sorry for the repetition. So I think that's something to maybe consider. And I'm still hoping any benevolent beings listening to this are working on strengthening your astral body, the connection of your astral body to your physical body at all times, or as much as you possibly can. The more you do that, the less they're able to fuck with you, especially if you're really working with your chakras. If you have more control over your chakras and manipulating your own energy, the more you're going to be able to deter or stop forced interference from these entities and any fucking clone surrogates that they're trying to forcibly connect to you. So much of this just should not be, all of this malevolence and what they're forcing here should not be being done here. Should not be occurring, shouldn't be here, shouldn't be being forced here. And I just think it prudent for benevolent beings, as horrific and disturbing and unpleasant as those things are to hear and to know, that those things, knowing those things and being able to, you'll be better able to help yourself and protect yourself. And one thing that will not serve you is trying to remain in denial. Yes, happy moments can be found here. Happy times can be found here. It's great when you can take advantage of those. It's great when you can immerse yourself into those. Try not to get lost. Try not to get lost back into the lie, though. Don't get lost in the lie again. Because it's going to fucking smack you every single time. Right? So keep your wits about you. Keep your awareness high. Always use your logic. Try not to, in very stressful moments, try not to panic. Take a moment, take a deep breath, and start asking yourself the questions. Okay, what's the logic of the situation? What do I know? Right? What's the truth of it? What's the truth of things? What do I know to be the truth? What stands as logic? What can't be debated? How wrong? Like all the things that that are wrong, or that all the things that they are wrong about. Knowing that they're trying to always force lies, cons, and deceit. And so you're always trying to focus on what the truth of it is. So whatever they're trying to force, what's the truth of it? They're trying to pass off a lie, a con, or a deceit. So what's the truth of it? What's the logic? And then always keep going back to they're not allowed to be here. They're animated dead entities that shouldn't be here. They're not allowed to have that technology. They're not allowed to be using that technology. They're in violation of all universal laws. They have absolutely no right or justification to be trying to harm you, trying to connect to you, trying to rape you. They have no justification in any universe for trying to forcibly harm you or connect to you. If they have to use fucking technology and clones to force connection to you, that's how wrong they are, right? Like, that should be your automatic number one thing that that's blatant. An obvious example that they should not be connected to you, and they have no business trying to force what they're trying to force on you or trying to harm you. Okay? If they got to use technology to fucking do it, if they got to try and use technology in a clone to force connection to your being, really? Because they can't do it organically. It means they're wrong out the gate. It means they're not justified. It means you are fully in the right, fully justified in doing whatever it is that you have to do to fucking end them. Especially since they're using technology to forcibly obstruct universal law correction. That is not allowed. The universe itself should have fucking corrected that already. Means the universe itself is in violation of all universal laws, is what that means. This place is fucked. It's toast. It's time to go. It's been time to go for a very long time. They're obstructing correction. And what that means on a universal scale is something most cannot fathom. So at this point, do your best to take back everything that's been raped from you. Back from all clones, technologies, malevolence, the AI system, the artificial frequency fence, all astral realms and artificial realities. Most especially your life force, heart energies, and healing energies, your astral body, will body, and emotional body energies and frequencies, and your neurological signal and energetic signature. Be pulling those back, taking those back from everything, back to your being, within your being, in their full, complete, healed, benevolent state, devoid of all technologies, forced magic, clones, and malevolence in any form, devoid of all harm to you. And be, as much as you can, what I'll say is it's wise to be taking everything that has, pulling back everything raped from you, back from all clones, and things that have been raped from you via clone. And then dissolving the clone. Releasing the clone, dissolving the clone, whatever you got to do. Because they're using the clone with your stuff, maybe not yours, but I'll just say they're trying to use benevolent beings' stuff via the clone to keep the shit show going and to forcibly harm the benevolent being they raped it from. So clones aren't your friends. They're a tool. It's an artificial entity. It's a tool that they're using to rape, to harm, to evade, try and evade universal laws, right? It's a tool. So it's not your friend. It's not really part of you. What it is an artificial entity that's got some of your stuff that's been raped from you, that's being used to harm you. So it's not your friend, right? So be taking back anything raped from you, out and back from all clones. Devoid, and then devoid, you're taking all of it back from all clones, devoid of all clones. So hopefully that made sense. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to wrap this up. Do your best to stay strong. If you're hopefully benevolent beings who have been listening to any number of these recordings, hopefully you have been doing your best to reconcile the truth of things, reconcile what this place is, what's being forced here, what they're trying, what that dead animated species is trying to do here, knowing that they've done it in prior civilizations. They're trying to rape you of your evolution. They're trying to evade and circumvent universal laws and universal law correction. So if you're not down for any of that, if you didn't sign up for any of that, if you're not in alignment with any of that, then, it's basically you saving you, and it's going to be up to you to be strong enough to do what's needed to defend and protect yourself, and be screaming to get out of here, be always refusing consent, At some point, they have to turn that fucking fence off. At some point, they got to shut it off. There are so many beings screaming on this fucking planet that they're either going to be forced to shut it the fuck off, or they risk universal laws being triggered. Can you see where that's at? And when they shut off that fence, the thing about it is, so many beings are screaming here. They don't want to have universal laws triggered. So at some point, they have to shut off the fucking fence, right? At the same time, when they shut off the fence, this whole place is exposed to universal laws. Can you see that they're fucked? What I'm concerned with is the timing of it. We need that fence to be fucking shut off. This whole entire fucking planet needs to be exposed fully, permanently exposed to universal law correction. Because if universal laws are triggered, what I'll say about it is you're going to see some shit you ain't never seen before at a speed you didn't realize existed. Yeah. So I'm just saying, that's where that shit's at. So keep refusing consent. That's what's going to save your ass. Taking back everything that they've raped from you. Dissolving all clones, dumping the clones. Always be dumping the clones. The second you start hearing that tinnitus get louder, fucking dump the clone. Pull all your life force from the clone and everything that it's raped from you. Pull all your stuff back and dissolve the clone. Do whatever you got to do to fucking drop it, get rid of it, end it, watch it, set it on fire, do whatever you got to do to fucking end that shit. Because it's being used to harm you. It's using your stuff to harm you. So fucking drop that shit. Yeah. Get rid of it. It's got to go. It's not your friend. Just make sure you're pulling all your stuff out of it first. It doesn't have your consent. Did they come to you and ask your consent to make a clone of you, or take a generic clone and attach a whole bunch of stuff they raped from you to it? Did they get your consent to do that? Did they tell you they were going to try and harm you once they try and rape your stuff from you? Did they tell you there was going to be a malevolent fucking whore trying to operate that clone with your stuff? Did they tell you that? No? Okay. So I'm just saying, you have to put things in perspective. Do your best to reconcile the truth. Take the happy times and happy moments where you can. Just don't get lost in the lie. It's not going to serve you. Denial won't serve you either. It's best just to face the truth of things at this juncture. Look how many people they've turned. There are so many just walking around that are either hybridized, cloned out, checked out, possessed, or just an empty shell that's used for demon hopping, right? Like, really, really look at your environment, your surroundings, and take stock, right? Take a look around, maybe the people in your life. Look at how they are, what they do. should give you an indication of what they are, right? And I'm just saying, take stock of your environment and things in your life and happenings and experiences, and do your best to reconcile the truth of things and the truth of this place. That will serve you best right now. So do your best to stay strong. Trust yourselves, know yourselves well, have faith in yourselves. Know that you're in the right. Know that you are fully justified in protecting and defending yourself against animated dead entities, parasites, demons, whatever. And know that you are justified and have every right to pull back everything that's been raped from you. No more nicey. No more. Hopefully you haven't been asking. Hopefully you're just taking your stuff back. You don't ask parasites. You take back your stuff from demons, parasites, dead entities, whatever. Because they shouldn't even be here. So do your best to stay strong. Till next time.